Hello boys and girls, welcome back to the player podium. For those of you who are new here or forgotten the rules, here they are. Up to 3 players per team are awarded points based on individual performance, with the best player receiving 3 points, second best receiving 2 points and third best receiving 1. And if a team has less than 3 outstanding players, their best performing player may receive less than 3 points. So they will get 2 points and then the second best player will get 1 point, so forth. Players are accumulated points each week and are placed onto a leaderboard to assess who has been the most important player for their teams, and each week one player is awarded player of the week. This is a reminder of your point scores from last week, including the Everton game, which I didn't speak about because I recorded it before the game actually started, with Ndiaye, Gay and Grealish receiving the points there, and then for Sunderland, Xhaka, Lafi and Ballard, with our top point scorer, and I scroll all the way over here. Don't know why this is down here, let me just change that. It'd be Haaland on 19, with Caicedo and Grealish 4 points behind, shows how good Haaland's been this season if he's ahead of Caicedo, with Ndiaye, Minter, Semenyo all following close behind, and then your groups of players starting to pile up on 8, 9, 10, 11 points, with Caicedo being Game Week 10's player of the week. Straight into the Saturday football with Spurs 2 United 2. I didn't actually catch a lot of this game because I was on the train back from Nottingham after a night out with my mates, but from what I saw it wasn't a particularly high quality game. I mean, Spurs and United aren't the most consistent teams at the moment, so this was either going to be really entertaining, which it was, or really boring. And I mean, the quality of the game either way wasn't going to be fantastic, I don't think. And I mean, Spurs, if you go 2-1 up in the 91st minute, you can't be conceding after that. Like, you just can't be conceding after that. It's just not good enough, and that's going to really harm them this season. Obviously, it's classic Spursy, whatever, but they've really got to sort that out. And United, I thought, looked decent. Obviously, the game wasn't fantastic, but I thought they looked fairly threatening going forward, and Buemo looked really good going forward as well. And, I mean, signs are they're just getting better and better for United. I mean, a point away at Spurs. Obviously, they haven't been great at home, but it's still not an easy team to play. It's still not an easy place to go. So it's a good result. It's a better result for United than it is Spurs. And Spurs again, they need to, I don't know why they're so bad at home. I don't know what makes it so difficult to play at home, but yeah, I mean, not fantastic for them. Giving Xavi Simons 1 point, he was booed when he came off. Well, he wasn't booed. The decision was booed when he came off, and I think that's fair enough. I think he was really good in that game. Creatively, a lot better. Better than was it? He came off against us. Was it? He got subbed on and got subbed off, or was it the game after? I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, he's not. I don't think he's been as bad as people have said he's been. He's had a few. He's looked all right in a few games. He looked fairly positive in a few games, but I mean, obviously not as good for the money that they paid. They would want more from him, but this is a step in the right direction, I think. Giving Matis Tell 2 points, he seems to be the best of Spurs' 3 strikers that are available to them at the moment. I don't know why he's not been getting more game time, because I haven't been impressed with Richarlison, even though he scored, and Kolo Muani hasn't. I mean, he started fairly slowly so far, so yeah, I mean, it was a really well taken goal. Obviously, it did take a deflection, but to turn and get the shot off in that position was really good of him, and I think he should be starting a few more games because. Yeah, man, I do really like Tell. He's a really promising. He's what, 19, 20, something like that. Really promising from Bayern. I'm surprised they let him go. But yeah, good game from Tell. I'm actually giving Odebear 3 points. I thought his impact off the bench was great. I think when him and Doggy came on, it really opened the game up for Spurs and really gave them the ability to get back in it. I think they come down from 1-0. Yeah, they did. Came back from 1-0, so they went 2-1 up. And a lot of that was thanks to that left-hand side. I don't think they're creative enough a lot of the time, which comes from their starting 11 selections. But when Udogie and Odebear came onto the pitch, I think it really made the difference for Spurs in that game. And Udogie got an assist, and overall I think he was probably Spurs' best player in that game. Given Ahmad 1 point, it's difficult for him because he's got a lot of contention for his position. So I don't think he plays as well when he drops back into right wing back. Obviously he's not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but he plays better in the right side of that forward 3 that United have. So it's difficult, obviously, with Cunha and Buemo, Sesko, Fernandez. There's a lot of competition for spaces, but Ahmad's started to pick up a little bit of form for himself. Got a really nice cross into Buemo right on his head for the goal. Literally couldn't have made it any better for him. So Ahmad gets the point in that game. And Buemo back at it again for United. He's having a good little spell now. He's started to really prove why they spent so much money on him. I've really liked him so far for United. I think him and Cunha, started to play well at the start of the season. They didn't really get the numbers, but now Mbeumo's really started to score some goals, and I think he's going to prove to be a very good signing for United. And I mean, the header was really nice. He tried a header like 30 seconds before that, which he absolutely skewed, but shows his level of confidence to pick himself up, dust himself off, and score that header 30 seconds later. This isn't just for the goal, but I thought De Ligt was really good in that game. I think defensively he was very solid. The goals weren't his fault. I think he pushed up quite a lot in the game as well, which I noticed. He would push up from centre-back, and he was actually very influential for them going forward. It reminded me of a few games ago, I think Agbadou against Leeds. I don't know if it was Leeds, for Wolves. But he was pushing up a lot from centre-back and actually causing quite a few problems, which De Ligt did quite well. And I thought he was having a good game as it was. And then obviously he scored the equaliser, which is a massive moment in the game for United, and won them the point in the end. So I think pretty deservedly De Ligt gets 3 points. Moving on to Everton Fulham. This is fairly routine for Everton. They weren't as creatively exciting as they have been in a few games. It was more on the less flashy players. I think Grealish and Diarra were a little bit quieter in this particular game. I mean, one of the players for Fulham got some points for stifling Grealish, and so you'll see that in a bit. But yeah, a good win for Everton. They're a lot lower down in the table than their performances give them credit for. Like, I think they've played pretty well in games, and I think they probably could be higher up the table based on how they've played. Obviously, performance doesn't entirely correlate to points, so they're in the position that they are for a reason at the end of the day. But I think they've started to play well, and this is a pretty necessary win for them just before the international break to send them off in good spirits. And Fulham didn't really offer much in that game. In the second half, they started to slightly come to life when they made a few subs. Josh King came on, Muniz came on, and they made more of an impact. But yeah, it wasn't good enough overall for Fulham. Michael Keane gets a point. It was a clean sheet and a goal, which for a centre-back is a very, very good game. Fulham didn't pose Everton too many problems, but when they did, a lot of the time, Everton were more than worthy to stand up to them and bat the challenge away. So yeah, Keane gets a point. Tieno Barry's in 2 points. I thought he was really good in that game. He didn't score, which was unfortunate. And while on the topic, there's a lot of offside goals for Everton, so it shows that they can put the ball in the net. Obviously, there's a lot of different goal scorers as well, but it shows if you keep hacking away on a different day, you wouldn't be offside. So anyway, Tieno Barry scored an offside goal himself. Was offside for Dewsbury's goal, so maybe there's a little bit of work needs to be done on just the timing of his run, which I think he hasn't played enough in the Premier League to really adjust to the style of teams that are in the country. But I thought it was really positive. He caused Fulham lots of issues from striker. He looked more competent than Beto has at any point this season. I know Beto scored, and I think he has. I'm fairly sure Beto scored. Anyway, I know Beto's been more on the GA than Barry has, but I think this performance shows a lot more of a rounded striker than it has when Beto's played. So I think this is the sign that Barry's starting to work. I think he's got the fans on his side with that performance. So this is Moyes' opening to start giving Barry more games, I think. And man of the match for me was Keenan Dewsbury Hall. He's gone under the radar a little bit because Grealish has taken all the credit and Ndiaye has taken a lot of the support as well, but he's been a really good signing so far for Everton. He's been consistently chugging in these good performances, and then today he stepped up and really made a difference for them, so he gets 3 points. I thought Kenny Tete was actually very good at right back. He didn't give Grealish any space to operate. I'm not a big fan of stats, but I saw he won the most duels or tackles, one of the two, in the match, which is against Jack Grealish, and you're not conceding too many fouls. That's exactly what you want, really. If you can get Grealish off the ball as quickly as you can nullify his impact. And then, obviously, it was unfortunate for Tete that they found, or Tete, I don't know, saying that Tete, I think. Yeah, fortunate for Tete that they found it elsewhere on the pitch. But yeah, I mean, he did what he could to stop Grealish from having really much of a sniff in that game. They're giving Josh King the 2 points. I kind of admire how Marco Silva isn't rushing him into games. Like, you could get young players that just start every game and then start to drop off in form and get injuries, like mine, who had that for a while. So King's not starting every game, I think, is good for him. I think he's played a few times in the Cup, which is necessary to kind of get his confidence up for these Premier League games. But yeah, honestly, I really like Josh King, and I think there's a good little player there. West Ham 3, Burnley 2. We're starting to really see how Nuno Ball is coming into effect now. Um, their play style obviously isn't massively different to how it was before, because they don't play too drastically different football. But that's also due to the fact that West Ham was so bad that teams had a lot of chances against them anyway. And Burnley had a few chances against West Ham in this game. That's not to be ignored. That did happen, but I think West Ham, in the classic Nuno kind of way, were pretty lethal on the counter attack, and the defenders and goalkeeper, well, not goalkeeper because he had a bit of a howler for the last goal, but the defenders were massively improved, and West Ham look more of a stable unit now that Nuno's come in. This is if I was Parker, I would have looked at this and I would have thought there's a point in this game. Obviously, West Ham haven't been in great form. I know they've got a new manager, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to succeed. But I would have pinpointed this and said, I think we could have got a point from here. 3-2 was a fair result in the end. I think West Ham did deserve to win. But they had a few chances, Burnley did. They had a few chances to win the game. And this is what I'm saying. Armando Broja, he came on. He was a fairly creative, but in front of goal, he's just not that guy. So he might score 20 next season in the Championship if they go down. But for this season, Freddie Potts is in 1 point. I quite like him. He's like a cool story. He's like a West Ham lad. He's like the Mark Noble kind of. He's just family have all played for West Ham, and I thought he was really good in the base of that midfield. He scored a goal, I think, which was ruled out in the end, which is has to be pretty heartbreaking for him. But to either put the ball in your net in front of 60,000 of your own fans is a dream come true for anyone. And I think overall in the game he played really well and deserves a point. Callum Wilson gets 2 points. His goal wasn't anything flashy, anything special, but that's the kind of striker threat that West Ham have severely lacked so far. They needed that person who was just clinical in front of goal, and Wilson hasn't been playing anywhere near enough for me. And that goal is proof that this is what you signed him for. This is what you're going to get out of Callum Wilson. We know he's done this for years for Newcastle, for Bournemouth, and this is the player that needs to be starting for West Ham now. 3 points, Matheus Fernandes. He doesn't play anywhere near enough for me, West Ham. I think he should be the second name on the team sheet behind Bowen. I really, really like Matheus Fernandes. He's been really good so far. I think you notice how good he is when he comes onto the pitch, because West Ham gets so much better when he does come on. So I think he does need to start more games. I know Nuno isn't the most exciting, expansive, creative manager in the world, but you've got your spark there. I think you need to give him the room to play. Giving Florentino a point. There was no one really outside of him and Fleming, who's in 2 points, I'll show you now, who really shone for me in that game. It was a pretty drab Burnley performance, all things considered, and I think Florentino wasn't too bad. I think he was one of the best of a bad bunch. There's nothing really much else to say about it, because Florentino was he's not the kind of player that can win you a game, I don't think. He's the kind of player that can control the game and just help chug you along. But yeah, he did alright in that aspect, but I don't think the overall team performance was good enough to really let him show that. And I think Fleming got in the position to score a goal. Really nice header. This is Fleming to a T. If you can keep getting him in those positions, he'll score a good few goals this season, and he could be one of the people that helps Burnley in their survival bid. But yeah, you'd have been pinpointing this early on in the season if you're a Burnley fan and saying this is where we are going to get some points and take points, especially off relegation rivals. Sunderland 2, Arsenal 2, they do it again. They've done it again. These late goals for Sunderland, that shows just the level of fight, the level of grit that they've actually got. A Stadium of Light is such a difficult place to go. All three of the promoted stadiums, and not somewhere that you want to go in the slightest. And I mean, for the champions, or for the provisional champions at the moment at least, Arsenal to go there, concede 2 goals when they haven't conceded for the last however many, and it does really show that these promoted teams are no slouches at home. 2-2 against Arsenal is a great result for Sunderland, make no mistake about it. That is such a good result, and it shows how well they've recruited and how well they have started this season. Brobby is a great footballer. I really like Isidore, but I think Brobby might just be the level above. So I mean, he showed it when he came on against Chelsea. He impacted for the final goal, and he showed it again in this game, getting the scissor to score. I'd be looking to give him a bit more game time. Defensively, Sunderland were great. Obviously, they conceded 2 goals, but they were 2 really well taken goals. There's nothing anyone could have done about those, so I don't really put it on them. Arsenal, would you be disappointed in the manner that it happened? Yes, you would be. Like, you are top of the league and you are looking to win the Premier League. You have to be seeing these kind of games out. But in the way that the game went, I think Sunderland played really well. I don't think Arsenal were like incredible. Eze had a chance to score, which I think he should have taken, which would have seen the game out, I think. But yeah, I mean, while other teams are dropping points, I guess it could be worse for Arsenal, really. Mukiele's back on the point sheet. He's just a fantastic player. Like there's no two ways about it. He's such a good football player, and in that 5 back, I think he really did well. He pushed forward quite a bit. He obviously got the assist for Ballard's goal, but I think overall he's just a fantastic performance from him. I really like Mukiele, and it's such a shrewd bit of business, a bit under the radar, because obviously Xhaka is the best signing that they made, which is the case, but we can't underestimate the fact that Mukiele was willing to step down from PSG to live in Sunderland. You know, there was a bit of a lifestyle downgrade, and he's just fit straight in. Goal scorer Bobby had to be in second. Impact off the bench, you can't ignore it. He, again, it's another one where you think it's mad that they've got him from a Champions League club, but you know that could be Sunderland in a few years if they keep on the momentum they've got. Obviously, nothing's guaranteed, but yeah, man, fantastic performance from Bobby, and he's such a Premier League striker as well. I think he's an English bloke. I'm not 100% sure on that. I think he was English at least at one point. But he's very strong, very physical, got past Gabriel, held him off to score the goal, and I think he's going to do really well in this league. I'm really growing to love Dan Ballard. Honestly, I really like him at the moment. I think he's just like fantastic. It's crazy that they've spent all this money, they've brought in all these players, but it's one of the old boys from last season that's managing to, like, I think, stand out above a lot of the rest for me. I think in terms of Arsenal players, in terms of Sunderland players, it's him and Xhaka are at the top, and they have been this season. He's just a really good player, and he scored another goal. He did his little strong celebration, which was cool, and putting a brilliant block at the end. And overall, just a fantastic defensive performance, so deserved 3 points for Dan Ballard. Got Trossard in at one point. That was a fantastic goal that he scored. It was really well struck, and I don't want to diminish it, but obviously he didn't have a lot of impact in the game, so you can't really go too much higher up. But he, I think that was kind of all that I saw from him in the game. I don't particularly rate Trossard as a footballer, I'll be completely honest. I don't think he's the guy I think Arsenal do need another left winger, and to keep Eze in the 10th spot, I think that's how they can get the best out of those players. But having said that, it was a good performance from him. His goal was just lovely. It was a really nice strike, and you can't fault him at all for that. Zubamendi in the 2, he's been great so far. He really has. He's holding in that midfield role just so well. And even I think Rice wasn't great in that game, but Zubamendi was. And it's good for Mikel Arteta to have the 2. If one isn't playing well, you can probably rely on the other 2 be. And I think he got an assist at the end as well. I think it was for Trossard, but I'm not 100% sure. I can't really remember. But yeah, I think I do remember his performance, and his overall performance was good. I put Saka in the 3. He's been getting a lot of criticism recently for his lack of numbers, which I found quite surprising, because you don't need numbers to know that Saka's a fantastic footballer and Arsenal's best player, or one of Arsenal's best players anyway. And he got a goal in that game against Sunderland, really nice classic Saka goal, and he's had a few injuries obviously, so if he can get himself into full fitness, obviously there's an international break coming up. I'm not 100% sure if he's been called up, but if he can get some game time there, build himself back up, then Arsenal are just getting stronger and stronger, and they don't look like people could stop them. Chelsea 3, Wolves 0. I could see this coming from a mile away. This was Chelsea easy win, just written all over it. Didn't have a shot until the 70th minute, Wolves, but they're under temporary management. Going away to Stamford Bridge when you are the worst team in the league and you've not got a current manager, you're not going to expect to win. Chelsea did what they had to do. It was really nothing special from their part, but they were just playing against pretty strongly inferior opposition in my opinion. Got Steve in the 1 point. Esteval is so good. I love Esteval. I think he's fantastic. He got the assist. Obviously, it didn't go down the score sheets an assist, but I think he got the assist. Really, he made that goal for Pedro. I want to see him start games. I really, really do. I really want to see him start games. What I can't wait to see is Esteval, Palmer, Neto, and Pedro operating all as a unit, as a four. I think that's going to be really, really deadly. Having said that, Garnacho put in a really good shift. You'll see in a little bit. So it's hard to make room, as well as Neto, who play really well, and Delap, I think, played quite well. Having Pedro in the 10 worked in that game for me. So it's difficult for him to get game time, but he has to be on the pitch. I really, really like Esteval, and I think give it a year or so, he's going to be one of the best right wingers in the world. Giving Neto 2 points. Overall, just creatively good. Haunted his old club, celebrated a lot of times, which is what we really like to see. And he's playing games, which is great. Like, Neto's so injury prone at Wolves that we just never got to see the best of him. And when we did, it was only in brief glimpses. But Neto's, now that he's actually getting game time, we're seeing that he can play well, and I think he has started the season really well for Chelsea. And surprisingly enough, Garnacho in 3 points. Everyone's very critical of him. I've been very critical of him, but I think he had a really good game against Wolves. I think he was a problem for Wolves all game, getting down that left flank and the right flank. I think they swapped a little bit here and there, but getting down those flanks, I think it was a real issue, and they struggled to deal with him for a lot of the game. Got 2 assists in the end, so getting on the GA is what you want from your wingers, and yeah, overall fantastic from Garnacho. And I mean, everyone will call him shit, but he didn't burst onto the scene at United for no reason. You know, I was saying when he was linked with us, I would have taken him at Villa, and he's gone to Chelsea, obviously a better team, you'd say, than us, and he's proven that there is a place for him there. So a lot of Chelsea fans that didn't want him to sign, I think, you know, they'd probably eaten some of their words. Villa 4, Bournemouth 0. It's just, I think that's the best points I've seen from us all season. We were fantastic from the minute 1 to 90. I think we were great. In terms of the overall game, first half Bournemouth were really poor. I was watching Match of the Day to get some of the highlights in, just to see about the rest of the games were, and I was watching the game, and they put a lot of Bournemouth highlights in the first half, which I think does them a little bit of justice. They've been a bit kind to them there. I think in the first half especially, we were so all over them. We could have scored a few more goals than we actually did. There was a period after the half time until the penalty where Bournemouth looked really threatening. Martinez had to make a good save. The defence were under a lot of siege, but we dealt with it quite well. And then obviously the penalty happens. His hand's up, so you can't really argue against it. He doesn't really know what's going on, but if you're in the box, I know he's not a defender, so it's difficult to give him stick. But if you're in the box, you've got to be careful what you're doing with your hands, and it was a penalty. Really well done by Martinez as well, who's had a fantastic game. Unlucky not to get in the points. I'll spoil it now, he didn't get any points, but he was right up there in terms of our best performers for me. We need to be starting Marlon. I want to start Marlon. I want Marlon to get more game time, please. I don't think Watkins played badly. I think Watkins had a good game, but you can't even score an accident when Marlon can, and Marlon is just so dangerous when he comes on. He got another chance, a really good chance to score a goal at the end, which he did miss, but I think he was a little bit too overconfident with that and didn't really take the time to actually take a good strike. So yeah, I can forgive him for that, but I want Marlon to get more game time. I really, really do. I'm pushing my free Marlon agenda. For Bournemouth, I don't think this is too big of a deal, to be honest with you. I mean, every team has had poor results this season. Every team has looked slow in games. They are no different. This is their worst game this season. But it's just a blip in the road, really. Villa Park's not an easy place to go to, unless you're Crystal Palace. So if I was a Bournemouth fan, I wouldn't be too upset, to be honest with you. I'm sure they'll pick themselves up in the next game, so it's nothing really to be too nervous about. Captain John McGinn with 1 point, not getting near enough, nowhere near getting enough plaudits from his get from the game on the weekend. Fucking hell, get your sentence out. But he was so good in that midfield. He was so physical. He was so dominant. He was really good progressively. He carried the ball really well a lot of the time. His passing was really good. It was just overall a fantastic performance from John McGinn. And yeah, we would be struggling seriously in those kind of games where we need to bring the intensity if we didn't have him in the middle of that park. Obviously, he was playing the winger in that game, but when he drops in to the middle to pick the ball up and make the room for Cash Digne on the overlap, when he makes room for Watkins up front, he just does it so well. So yeah, 1 point from McGinn in that game. A lot of people would have had him in the 3 points if they're doing this. There's one person for me that just tips Buendia out, but what a game Buendia had. He is so good for us at the moment. Obviously his free kick was just incredible, a lovely little knuckle, and but his off the ball movement was great. He won the ball back for us countless times, whether it was in our half, whether it was in an attacking opportunity. He looked dangerous when he got on the ball. His passing was great, his vision was great. So it was really good performance. And if this other bloke didn't play as well as he did, Buendia would be a shoo-in for the 3 points. I'm surprised that not as many people have noticed how well Onana actually played in that game. Outside of the goal, which was a brilliant strike again, like he was so good in that midfield. I was really nervous when we brought him off. Obviously, we brought on Barkley and he scored anyway to see the game out and whatever, so it didn't matter in the end. But I thought he was the best player on the pitch for me. He was absolutely everywhere. His work rate was fantastic. His on the ball, his off the ball was great. It's literally everything for these 3 players can just be kind of copied and pasted. But I just think they did it. I think Buendia did a little bit better than McGinn, and I think Onana did a little bit better than Buendia. I was so happy with that performance. He's proved his money's worth in that game, and he's starting to come into some really good form, which is extremely convenient because Tielemans has now come back. So we're gonna have to, obviously we can't bench Tielemans. He was our best player last season, so we are gonna. We've given Emery a good problem to have. You know, I mean, it could be worse having to choose between a lot of good players. The only point scorer for me was Tavernier. He looked dangerous when he got on the ball. He had a few forays forward and he looked pretty threatening. I thought he was Bournemouth's most exciting player. On a different day, he would have maybe got a goal, maybe got an assist, but it wasn't to be for Bournemouth today. We defensively were very solid, and yeah, neither of the strikers really could get that much into the game, which is obviously unfortunate for Tavernier, who is looking to find the strikers a lot of the time as a winger. So yeah, he played well, but nothing really to be too upset about for Bournemouth. You just got to kind of dust yourself off and carry on. Brentford 3, Newcastle 1. I did say I wouldn't be too worried about Brentford after that last loss. I'm seeing the light now with how they perform. They aren't consistent. They're not going to be consistent. I think they've won 5, lost 5 games this season, drawn 1. So they haven't got a good run together or a bad run together. These games are going to happen, and they were great against Newcastle. Newcastle looked really poor after the first half. They looked really sluggish. Defensively, they looked nervy. And I know they're struggling with injuries at the moment, but one player who got injured, I think, in that game was Joelinton. And I think I'm starting to see the writing on the wall. They need someone who's on the level of Tonali and Bruno G, because I don't think Joelinton is. I think Joelinton is here, while Tonali and Bruno G are here. And if it wasn't for him being such a brute and being such a hard bastard, and all the Newcastle fans loving that, I think they would have noticed quite a lot sooner as well. For Brentford, this is a fantastic win. On the refereeing decisions, I don't know what was really going on with VAR for that game. I thought that the penalties, I thought they made the wrong decision on both occasions. I don't think Burn really made enough contact with Atara on the second one. I think he stood on his foot for the first. So I think he should have been sent off for the first one, for second yellow, and I think he should have stayed on for the second one. Obviously he wouldn't have because he wasn't on the pitch, but yeah. And then Pope got injured or something and Ramsdale came on. That was a bit strange. It was overall, it's Newcastle in a weird spot, man. But they should be fine in the end. They have quality players. They've made some decent signings. I think they will be alright in the end. I've seen people saying that they're in a relegation battle. I think that's a load of bollocks. If you look at the quality of the teams at the bottom of the league, like West Ham and Wolves, they are such a step below Newcastle, so they're not going to be in trouble. Like, Newcastle will finish 15 points clear the relegation zone at the least this season. So let's not put them in that kind of bracket, because they will get out of this rut. And even if they don't, they aren't bad enough to be in the relegation zone. They aren't in bad enough form to be in the relegation zone come game week 38. So, yeah, they just need to sort their consistency out a little bit. They need to get their forward players firing. Gordon was quiet again. Barnes was good. He scored a nice goal, but Baltimore are not really impactful. So, not a day to remember for Newcastle. Given Ouattara 1 point, I was critical of his signing, and I still don't really know on him. But he played well in this game. He's doing his bit to prove me wrong. He's had some good performances this season, but there's other games where he's been invisible. But sorry, he caused Newcastle a lot of problems, obviously, with the 2 penalty shouts. I don't know why he got booked for that first one. That was just ridiculous. Even if you didn't think it was a penalty, there's no way that's simulation. He might have made a bit of a hash of the fall, but even so, that's just not a penalty. I mean, it's just not a yellow card. It's not simulation, because there is enough contact to warrant him going down. Overall, good performance from him. Caused him a lot of problems, so he gets a point. Kevin Schade has gone under the radar for how actually impactful he's been for Brentford this season. He's got quite a lot of points so far, more so than even I realised. So it's kind of like fair play. I didn't really particularly register how good he had been so far. So yeah, fair enough. He scored the goal in the end off the long throw-in. It's what Brentford do at the end of the day. So shows the system's working for him. And yeah, another good performance and another 2 points. Brace for Thiago and 3 points for him. I saw someone say he's the second best striker in the league. Come on now. But I mean, in the form that he's in, he's not doing anything to. He's giving these people reason to put him in these kind of conversations. You know, he had a horrible injury-ridden year last year. I don't even know if he scored or not. But yeah, it's just, again, Brentford have just plucked someone random out of the blue, and he's come in and replaced their other player even better. So it's like, you can't like. It is a wonder how they do it. Like, you can't fault them in the slightest. Their recruitment is absolutely spot on. I can't remember a Brentford player that's really flopped in recent memory. So these 3 points are a testament to Brentford and their recruitment of Igor Thiago, I guess. Barnes in here for his goal. Really nice goal. He deservedly so for a point. But outside of that, nothing really happened for Newcastle overall. So it's not just on Barnes, but yeah, really, really not great day out for Newcastle. I do like Barnes. I do think he should be starting more games. I always have quite liked him, even when he was at Leicester. So yeah, I think he does deserve to be getting in that team a little bit more, especially with Gordon not performing very well for me. And I think him and Walter Marder could potentially strike up a little partnership if he gets the game time to work with Walter Marder. Forest 3, Leeds 1. This is a really necessary win for Forest. Obviously, it's early in the season, so you don't know how it's all going to play out, but this is looks to be a bit of a relegation game, and Forest walked over them. I don't think Leeds were very good at all. They didn't have too much going forward. They had 1 or 2 chances, really, and they scored one of them. 1 or 2 major chances that were worthy of highlights from the various highlights that I watched. Forest at home, again, looking good. I like the starting 11 that Dyche put out. He tried something different. He gave Jesus a go, which I like, and he caused a few problems. And Doy was great. Gibbs White was great. There were lots of good performances. And even when Jesus came off, I mean, Awoniyi came on, and I thought he was good as well. So yeah, it's just positive for Forest, really. There's nothing really else to say. Leeds, these kind of games, I think they are going to lose. But in the reverse fixture, I think the score would be completely different. So I don't think this is particularly too bad for Leeds. Obviously, they do need to sort their away form out against teams that are near them. But I guess actually it's not good that you expect this of Leeds, because you can't just keep relying on Ellen Road. I've seen Leeds fans that want Farker out, which is fair enough. But who else are you going to get in? That kind of thing. Unless you can tempt someone away. Maybe Lampard and Cov. But I don't know why he leave. I'm not sure. I'd give Farker a little bit more time. Get it closer to January. Maybe in the middle of December if you're struggling. get Farke gone, get a new manager in to understand the team, and then make the changes that he wants. Gibbs White fairly left out of the England squad, but scored a lovely header. The fact that they got Gibbs White scoring headers is just a testament to Dyche ball in its entirety. So fair play. Really nicely taken header, really good goal. When it comes time to pick the World Cup squad, you expect him to be in and around the conversation at least. So the fact that he hasn't been called up is could be a kick up the arse for him, in the same way that I hope it will be for Watkins for Villa. Hutchinson was very expensive for Forest, and this performance kind of showed why. Like, he came onto the pitch and he was just great. He won the penalty for Anderson to score, and I think it's just showing that he can be an absolute live wire off the bench. Forest are in a kind of similar situation to Spurs in the fact that they've got a lot of attacking talent, but you don't really massively rate a lot of them over. Like, the best way I can say it, like, Kudus is the only forward player that starts every game for me for Spurs, and you'd say the same about Gibbs White for Forest. So it's like you've got a lot of options there. So Hutchinson is doing his bit to kind of get more game time in a World Cup year again. So, but Dan and Doy gets the 3 points. He started well. I think he had a good first few games of the season, but he kind of slowed down after that. He didn't really get too much time on the pitch, and obviously Forest had their tumultuous form as it was. So this is good for him to get back in and amongst the good performances. And for me, he was the most creative player. He was giving Leeds so much of a headache in that game. So yeah, he gets 3 points. I actually liked Jayden Bogle at right back. I thought he put in a few good blocks, and going forward he caused a bit of an issue for Forest. Obviously there wasn't too much in the way of attacking options for Leeds, but I think out of a pretty poor performance he was one of the better ones for him. And Amecha's come under a bit of criticism, but his finish was really nice. That's the kind of goal that shows the kind of player that Amecha can be. And if he can get some more games, then I think he could put a few more of those away. Because I don't think Calvert-Lewin, I made this very clear, I don't think Calvert-Lewin's a man forward. I think if you start him for 38 game weeks, he will get you Leeds relegated. So the fact that they've got someone there who's shown a sign of, okay, look at me, I can score this goal, where Calvert-Lewin probably can't, is very good for Amecha, and a bit of a hopeful sign for Leeds. Wow. Liverpool woeful again, so bad. I had money on both teams to score. I don't know why I thought that was funny or clever. Obviously the goal that was ruled out, for my personal bias, because I wanted 33 quid off a £1 free bet, I'd have said that it is a goal. But even then, I don't know why they've given that offside. I don't think Robertson's in the way of Donnarumma. Like, come on, what? I understand it if he was stood in his path, but he's not impacted the play. Donnarumma can still see. Robertson's not a big lad. He can see over Robertson and see where the ball's going. So yeah, the fact that they took the lino a long time to put his flag up, I think, is also very telling that he wasn't too convinced. But then I don't think it's the kind of thing that VAR will want to overturn. But I think that's poor from the officials in that sense. But that would have made a difference, because Liverpool were so bad and City were just miles better than them. Haaland missing a penalty. I didn't realise he actually had a pretty poor penalty record. He's up to 99 goals now for City, which is fucking stupid. He's been there for what? Is it 3 seasons now? This is his 4th season, I think it is. The fact that he scored 99 goals in that period is just AIDS, man. I don't know what is going on there. But yeah, this is just classic City, really. 1,000 games for Pep, so congrats to him. But Liverpool just have to sort it out, man. Like, there's nothing else to it. They really have to sort their stuff out, because if they keep putting in these performances, like, they don't have the points in the bank like City did when they had. I think they had this poor spell last year, last year where they just lost loads of games. Liverpool don't have as many points as City did when they started losing games. The league is very tight, so if they lose 2 or 3 more games, they're going to be in mid-table, and there's going to be questions about slot. Erling Haaland scored. Don't think we really knew too much about the goal, but his striker scores. It's what he does, really. I really liked Matheus Nunes at right back. I was thinking of putting Gonzalez in, but I think Nunes was fantastic for City at right back. He was going forward. He was great. Like, when they push the players forward and they kind of going to a weird little on the ball formation they've got. He did so well on that right flank, and yeah, he's just. I used to hate him. I don't really know why, and he was very expensive and pretty poor last season, so I used to be pretty happy about that. But yeah, he started to prove his money worth. And batten down the hatches, ring your bells, because ladies and gentlemen, this is our Game Week 11 Player of the Week. Jeremy Doku was, by a pretty comfortable margin, the best player on that pitch. He's starting to get consistent now. That's what I said about Doku. When he put in a few good performances early this season, I said this is a good performance from Doku, but can he do it every week? And he's starting to do it every week. If he plays like that for the rest of the season, he's going to win Player of the Year, I think, because that was one of the best individual performances I've seen for a while. Like, every time he got the ball, Bradley didn't have a hope. There was one point where he skinned both Bradley and Gravenberch, and it's just like, this guy is just ridiculous, man. Like, when he's playing like that, you can't get anywhere near him. I don't really have a lot to say about this game. Palace 0, Brighton 0. Like, it's a poor quality game from what I saw. Palace should have scored. They had the chances to score. Another simulation thing with VAR. It wasn't a foul. And Rutter obviously rightly got a yellow. So, but yeah, I think Palace had one or two chances to win that game. Kamada had an opportunity where the ball fell to him and he should have scored. Pino had a good chance, but yeah, overall there's just nothing really to this game in the slightest. Giving Henderson a point, because the one or two chances Brighton did have, he saved. He did what he needed to do, kept a clean sheet, and it's not really his fault that going forward Palace weren't great. I think Sarr caused a lot of the problems for Brighton that they had, and was probably the most creatively influential player on the game. When it's not your day, it's not your day, and Palace had a couple of chances that they should have scored. I think there was one Mateta had and Pino had one and stuff like that. So maybe Palace could have scored a goal, but no, man, it's like in that kind of game. If I was Sarr, I'd be really frustrated because he's done quite well. He's had a good game, but you just can't convert your chances. And at home against Brighton in a derby, you'd want to be winning that game. So yeah, not fantastic, but Sarr had a good game. I thought Brighton were worse than Palace. I know they did have a couple of chances, but I don't think their forward players played that well and were that exciting. So I've given Verbruggen the point. He made a really good save at the end against Pino, and overall I think he had a good game. He kept a clean sheet, so it's kind of similar to Henderson in the same sense. So yeah, Verbruggen gets a point for me. And these are our points scorers for this week, all in the tier here. And then if I scroll along, their gap's getting a bit bigger. It is getting a little bit bigger. Haaland is just consistently plugging in those goals and getting himself away. 5 points from him to Caicedo and Grealish. Igor, Thiago and Mbeumo off the back of this weekend and push themselves up. Ballard as well is right in amongst it. And if we scroll down here, Shard, fairly underrated. Xhaka's up there as well. And then players like Onana, Buendia for the Villa and move forward. Mukiele's got himself forward as well. So yeah, we get into. I think we're basically. I think this is as much as I can do, so I should be able to get all the way across here. So I don't think I'll need to change the format really, but I don't know how to get rid of these lines and it's really annoying me. But yeah, we'll be fine on spreadsheet for the season, I think. So that's all from me, boys. Thank you very much for watching and have a good day.